We're going to begin Focus 2.
Are you guys ready? All right, okay. Take it away, Cindy Anderson from AVA. Talk about JotForm. Cindy.
So I'm going to talk about JotForm today, which is a powerful online application that allows you to create things very quickly and easily. It's a simple process. You can copy existing forms, use a JotForm template, or create from a blank. They give you a lot of options to choose from to make it easy for layout processes. I wanted to highlight the import form because we use that a lot for our chapters to copy their membership applications over to a standard form. It's as simple as putting in the URL of somebody else's form and copying it, imports it in. You can also clone things that are in your own library. So of annual reports or something you do, you clone it in and just do a quick edit of it. So I use that a lot. You can see this form was the same form with just some simple changes to it. Within a few minutes, we were able to re-edit these. You can do colors, logos, edit questions and whatnot, very simple. So they also have a lot of templates you can use. You can search by categories. They have a search bar for specific topics or whatnot. But you can see you can get quite a fun layout and whatnot instead of just that plain background and whatnot. So it makes it very easy to do that. I love the if-then conditional settings. For example, if they're a member, they get the price of $75 versus $100 or whatnot. If they mark pay by credit card, then don't show where to mail your check to, those kinds of things. You can also do an if-then option for if they choose a certain field, then send them this specific notification. So I love that feature. It's very easy to use and to customize things. The customized notifications, you can set up notifications to come to you or anybody you want to when something is submitted, as well as you can customize what the submitter or the member sees. We actually have started using it for our continuing education credits. They complete the online evaluation form, and then it goes, they actually get their certificate automatically. So customizable thank you pages or redirects, easy third-party integrations. So I just wanted to, 3 minutes is really fast, so talking fast. But I just want to highlight, you can organize your forms by category, so it's very easy to find your forms in your library. The reports and exporting of data is key. I use that all the time to find historical data. That my database isn't easy to track on certain areas. You can export those based on any field in your forms. You can create the automated responses, and the creation of the forms and editing, it's really a drag and drop situation, so you don't have to be super tech savvy to do it. And they easily embed into your website or you can have just a link to create to it. So we also use this on the national level for expense reimbursements, time off requests, volunteer applications that we've embedded into our website so that we can easily export it and share it with other people. Quick store orders, one and done kind of products, RSVP forms, poster submissions, those kinds of things. I do use it for my annual reports because it gives me a way to export the data and pull different reports based on different criteria, and easy.
Big round of applause for Cindy. All right. Oh.
Yeah.
Technology is your friend sometimes. So Louise, you're up.
All right, so it's our chapter recognition program. A little bit about the program itself first. It's completely volunteer created. It's been around for a little over 10, 15 years now for us. And it's a grassroots effort. So our chapter and at this point regional and national volunteers came together and said, what do our chapters do that helps them function well? So it's really a collection of best practices. And what we're doing is they voluntarily report what they're doing to us, earn credits for it, and at the end of the year, they receive an award based on how many credits they're claiming. So in and of itself, it's not necessarily a tech piece, but what's the tech piece is how we now collect that information. So initially, we were collecting the information via spreadsheets that were emailed to my predecessor. And we have an entire folder on the shared drive just dedicated to these spreadsheets. So the carefully selected word that I have for this process is cumbersome. We love the program. It really does help chapters take a look at themselves and say, what can we do differently to grow? But it just drove us crazy. So we have our friend David. Jill's laughing because she used to work with me. David is our IT director, and he has something that we didn't have on staff before, and that was the ability and knowledge, and I want to quote him correctly, to speak and write code. So ultimately, he flowcharted everything. Earlier we talked about intentional design. David is a big fan of intentional design. So he flowcharted it out. The techie part of it is that he wrote it in C# and Visual Studio. And then after testing it, we went live. So it's a series of forms that go into a database that we can then generate reports. So we have, as part of our member portal, we have a chapter resources portal. And so within there, you see here, this is our landing page for the chapter recognition program. We have tools for them to leverage it throughout the year. But ultimately, once they click that enter your data button, then there's the various tabs of all the different sections that they can look at. They can claim credits. Once the quarter closes, they can't go back and claim credits. But this is what they're putting their information into. And then I have the ability to pull a report that just shows what everyone is doing. And so ultimately what my tool does is it gives me the ability to have a better conversation with my chapters. I can look and say, you know what, Central Kentucky is claiming a lot of credits in colleges and university visits. I want to know what they're doing. I can look at Boston and say, you know what, they're claiming an awful lot of awards and we're just in the first quarter, so I need to see, one, are they doing their awards differently, or two, did they just miskey something? So it's just giving me that ability to have a better conversation. We can export it to Excel, so this is just a screenshot of the Excel export right here. And then I can do some basic analysis on it. So again, looking at the data and information to get a better conversation. And if someone's ultimately not reporting, that's a whole different conversation. So our tool isn't perfect. It has a lot of growth to do. We're working on that, but it is pretty awesome. So we're not perfect, but we're awesome.
All right, that was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, so Wes.
Thank you, Peter. So my tech tool actually falls into the low tech category. It is literally a spreadsheet, but it's a spreadsheet that shares information that really kind of has helped our chapter program along. So our chapters are not separately incorporated entities, meaning headquarters handles all their activities, registration management, finances, everything. We handle all that. So it's a very resource-intensive structure. Very resource-intensive structure, if you know what I mean. Excuse me, but at the same time, it's really successful because from the standpoint of volunteers, they get a lot of support from headquarters. We saw exponential growth in a 5-year period between 2009 and 2014. Number of chapters went from 8 to 14, plus 2 internationals. The number of activities went from 47 to 78, and the number of attendees went from about 2,000 to well over 3,000 within a 5-year period. So at the time, I'm celebrating this is kind of the engagement we want, but at the same time, our executives weren't quite as happy. More growth means more expenses. So we created a new model, and we began to change the leadership, the mindset of our leadership. We focused on engagement, not necessarily the bottom line so much. But to accompany that mindset change, we also needed to start to measure and communicate the things that really showed the value of that engagement. So from these new priorities, we created a new model and identified engagement metrics that should guide all of our chapter activities. It encouraged more collaboration. We started training our chapter leaders, giving them professional development. We also developed a sponsorship program that offset those expenses that were causing the issue. And perhaps most importantly, we collectively identified a set of guiding principles upon which we would measure chapter success. So the 3 areas that we focused on were the minimum requirements. Chapters have to conduct X number of programs. We also measure what we call member and customer engagement. That tracks how are the members engaging with the chapter, face-to-face, virtual, in all areas. And then we have aspirational goals. Aspirational goals are the things that we're not necessarily required, but things that we really want our chapters to strive for. So again, we just changed that conversation. So just to run through some of the minimum requirements. Again, number of activities that all chapters have to conduct. Then we also wanted to look at how many people are participating in our global planning process. We brought our chapters into the annual planning process, but there's an expectation that the chapters contribute to that. And then we also want to make sure that the volunteer leadership team is at full capacity, so we get new members, succession planning. We continue to get in new blood, new ideas. The member engagement metrics, they really start to track types of things like how many active participants, how many individuals are actually coming to your activities. But that we don't stop there. Of the overall community, it's nice to have a really big community, but how many of your community members are engaging? How many are actually going to the chapter programs and engaging online? And then finally, again, how many people, RegX is our online platform for our chapters, so how many people total are in the community? The aspirational goals, again, these used to be things that we kind of forced our chapters to focus on, but we shifted that to this is, again, aspirational. How many dues-paying members? Because in a chapter community, we have non-members as well as members, but we want to know how many. Are we moving the needle? Are people moving from the non-member to the member relationship with the organization? Also, how many individuals, how many unique logins, how many individuals are logging into our chapter community and engaging that way? Unique logins, not overall. And then finally, we also have a volunteer management system, and we want to track how many people in each chapter have raised their hand to say, yes, I want to engage with the organization. That really concludes my low-tech tools, so I'll pass it on to the next person. Thank you.
Whoa, Wes, cool beans. Okay, and we're going to stick with wraps and Lindsay.
So a little bit, I'm not going to talk about the technology itself, but our process for creating our chapter leaders portal, because I think as you'll learn as you listen to what I'm going to talk about today, the portal is going to need to be different for each of you. So just saying wraps has higher logic, so we're going to do it too, probably not the right fit. So definitely worth a listen. I think we really started this because we have a global volunteer leadership for our chapters, and they're constantly on the go. So we had a traditional chapter leaders binder. How many of you have binders? Oh, that is really exciting. You don't have binders. Everyone was given a binder as they became chapter leaders and then never looked at it. And so that meant they were calling headquarters quite often with questions. Well, we got the same questions every time because they all have the same problems. So we did need to build something that would help us find our chapter leaders where they are. We have a global community. We have one chapter resource in our office, and so one person to cover 24 hours in the day just wasn't working. So we wanted to build something where they are and when they needed it, and for us it's actually helped us significantly with succession planning because it's something that the new chapter leaders can come in and look at. So if anybody else, as they're managing their chapters, looks like this, this could be something that helps you. For Wes, his hair isn't quite as pretty, but this is quite often what he looks like in the office, just in case you were wondering. So our first step, we asked what tools, resources, and materials do we already have, right? So rethinking what you already have and maybe repurposing it. So for us, we were not aiming for end result perfection, but some managing starting place. We had no budget. Anybody else have no budget? Right? And for us, we knew that this was going to be a constant work in progress. So really making sure we picked a tool we were going to be willing to work with. So for us, our association already had the Higher Logic platform. So while not necessarily what we would have chosen, another department was already footing the bill, which helped. And our association was already putting in the effort to get members to use this technology. So it wasn't going to be as big a lift on us to get people in there. But you don't necessarily have to have something that costs a lot of money. There is Google Docs, there is Slack, there is Dropbox. So really rethinking how you can use technology in other ways. Your association might have a listserv tool. It might have a project management tool for Basecamp. All of them can be used in some capacity, but you really need to think about what you have access for as your starting point and what do you most need to communicate with them. But don't get duped into creating something just because it's expensive, and don't do it just because Wraps does it, because, well, we're still working through some of these things. We just make it look really good, I think. The other thing is be realistic about adoption timeline. We knew it was going to take more than a year. This isn't going to be you just roll out a chapter leaders portal and everybody's going to be using it. For Wraps, we are 3 years in, and it has been a snowballing of utilization. It does take time. And part of that is we planned to onboard and re-onboard and train and retrain and have multiple different types of tools for doing all of those things. So we have an in-person training once a year. We have quick tip flyers. We have videos. We have ambassadors to the program. It really needed to be a multi-pronged approach to get people to use it, for sure. The other thing is putting things in there that they really want. So for us, we thought a little bit outside the box. We wanted to actually teach our chapters how to use virtual meetings. So we actually hosted a training, Q&A with an expert on how to host virtual meetings in our platform. In a 1 hour period, we had 52 discussion posts on virtual meetings. So we were really making them practice what we were preaching. For us, it has had tremendous long-term benefits. This was just at our annual conference last month. 6 of our local networking groups and chapter leaders organically got together for dinner. This had definitely never happened before. So our chapter leaders are sharing speakers and contents. They're now traveling to each other's chapters to make presentations and having combo events. But this portal was really part of our larger strategy, so it can't be a standalone thing. You need to really invest in your chapter strategy and engagement across the board. But most important, it is a tech tool, not a miracle worker. So it is not going to solve all of your problems.
Cool beans. Tanya's up.
Yes. Hi. Hello. Talking about Wufoo. How many folks here, so this is super duper low tech, like majorly, and this will be a very short little presentation, but I love Wufoo. How many folks here use fillable PDFs? I hate fillable PDFs. They drive me crazy. There's nothing to be done with them. You print them, you can't. Anyway, so fillable PDFs drive me crazy. So I'm with the National Defense Industrial Association. We're celebrating 100 years, actually, later on this year. And a lot of the times, it's good, it's great. Yeah, it's great. But a lot of the times, the technology and the tools that we use are about 100 years old. So, and I've actually been there only since May, so I've been there for a hot second. So I walk in the door and I start like, how are we collecting information? What's the conversation like? All these good things. And what I'm realizing is we have fillable PDFs that when it's all the information can be great, but I can't download it, I can't dump it anywhere, I can't analyze it. And then when I go to print it out, you know how they give that plus in the bottom right-hand side of that box? It stops printing, so I can't even read from there. So it drives me crazy. So is it David, the IT guy, whoever? So we have a David on staff. His name, I won't say his name, Tamika, is also with our organization. But anyway, what I did was I did a workaround of our David because when I proposed online forums and how are we capturing information, specifically with my chapter leaders in our divisions, it was like, give me a workflow and you need to meet these requirements. And there was like 20 questions. I was like, I don't really need to answer 20 questions from you. I need to ask my chapters 2 questions, and I need to ask them tomorrow. So enter Wufoo, who I love. And the Wufoo is a kind of a joke. It's because I was in the car on a conference call, and I have twins, they're 6, and I kept saying Wufoo, Wufoo, and my kids from the back were like, woohoo? And I was like, Wufoo, woohoo, Wufoo. So it's kind of an inside joke. But really, it's an online form builder, and it's so easy, and it's so low tech, and it's lovely, and it really, really has made my life so much easier. I've used it at the American College of Radiology. 2 jobs ago, I've used it at the Licensing Executive Society, last job, and then now here. And so it's just super duper easy. If you can see, these are a couple forms that I've used in the past for LES and NDIA. You can brand them so they look like you. They don't look like they're not a click out. And the big thing for me was I didn't need a qualifier. The folks that are going to use these forms, at least for me, are known. So I didn't need them to go through a single sign-on. I didn't need to say, who are you, and put them down this pathway within the database, which we use NetForum. They're known to me. I know these people. I just need to ask them something. So I've used it for a lot of things. So it can create, contact forms, online surveys, registrations, and we've actually started using it marketing communications that were like, oh no, this is unacceptable. Like, we're not doing this. We should really be doing this in NetForum. They're using it now. They have my code. Scott has my code, Tamika. He's using it. It's really, so it's wonderful. So what I use it for is, we tend to have a lot of back and forth conversations with our chapter leaders. Hey, our board chair changed. Or, hey, we've got an event coming up. Can you send us some stuff? Or, we've got an event happening. Can you put something out there? We can do something online. So it's a 6 to 7 back and forth email communication. I don't really need to do that. I need you to go to one place and tell me everything I need to know about your leadership roster, about your event. Do you want somebody to come talk at who is it? Webinar submissions. We have a webinar form. Award submissions. Again, it's really easy peasy, and you can do quick pulse surveys. So it's just so easy. I'm as low tech as they come, and I can do it. So that's that. The pricing, I just put this up here. I mean, it's really cheap, but I think there's also up to a certain number of questions, and you may know this, Christine, that you can use it for free. So it's super duper, very, very easy. And I love Wufoo. It brings me all the joy. So I'm going to turn it over to Christine now, who's got.
So a tool has to be good if you have two people that love it so much, they want to come up here and talk about it. So I felt like it needed a name, and the name that I give Wufoo is the customizable DIY tool for forms, surveys, registrations, applications, and more. So why is Wufoo good for component work? Number one, it's customizable. You can meet the requirements of each event and every component. So we started out using this for many things, but we found it's really, really helpful for webinars. And all of our components have different questions that they want to ask people who are coming to do webinars. They have different things that they want to put up there, information, questions. They want to have different reports come out, and they want them to look different too. They want it to look like for us it's divisions, but their chapter, their component. So here's an example of one of ours from our Division 56 Trauma Psychology. We got their logo in there. So we have a theme for Division 56 that every time we want to create a form for them, we just select Division 56 and it creates their theme. So here you can see tons of different questions. Are you a Division 44 member? Are you a member of Division 52? We have another division with a specific payment policy, so we can include that there. And in the back, the low tech, it looks a lot more complicated than it is, but you can choose different fonts, you can have different styles, different sizes, and then once you have that theme set, like I said, you can just pop it in and it creates the forms very easily to go from there. So here are a few different variations of that. And number two, why use it for component work? It's so easy. A monkey could do it, and even this pretty hilarious looking monkey, I think. Do it yourself. So for us, we are lucky that we have a very large ITS department, but for us what that means is there are lots of hoops to go through in order to set up things through ITS. Takes a lot of time, so we wanted something that we could do it ourselves. We didn't have to go through ITS's system and have them put somebody on the schedule in order to help us. It's really intuitive. Any team member can do it. It's available anywhere, so if I'm working from home or somebody else is, they can pop in and create a form, and it makes a web-ready form. So you get a URL, and you can share that around, and anybody can access. So this is the back end. It's drag and drop technology. You just kind of enter in, you pop in whatever question you want, and you can edit it very easily. So again, very do-it-yourself. And the third reason would be we use it for so much that we get a lot of bang for a buck. So talked about the pricing just a little bit, but we're coming up with new ways to use it every day. So I've listed a few here: grant submission, conference registration pages, requests for information, membership applications. We also started using this within our component team, and we have 600 staff. We have a large organization, but we actually had other groups coming to us saying, we want to use your Wufoo. So that's how valuable of a tool it is and how needed it was within our organization. So again, why Wufoo for component work? For the lead organization, it's customizable DIY, and you get a big bang for your buck. And for components, needs are met.
Thanks, Christine. Dresden, you're up.
Hey everybody, I'm Dresden. I'm a busy working mom of 3 and I love coffee. And so what I do with that is working with my chapters. They are busy volunteer professionals. Some have staff, some don't. They also like coffee and they also want to save money. So what I'm going to talk to you guys today is about Hunter. Hunter allows you to build prospect list, and although there is some pricing attached to that, it also is free. It allows you to connect with anyone. You can connect and find email addresses in the matter of seconds, and these email addresses are people who matter most to your business and most to your chapter's business. So how many people spend money with list management companies, right? To get prospect list. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. Here's simply a screenshot of what this looks like. You go on to Hunter.io, you can type in any web address, so let's say aarp.org, you click it, and all of the email addresses associated with that website will come up. Any company domain. Then what you can do once you find that list is you can download it in seconds and then upload it into any database that you want. Content management systems, and then it also interacts a lot with other social media and other technologies. Hunter, if you get a premium package, will allow you to use their content system, but you can use it on yours. So Hunter's easy is my #1 easy thing because chapter leaders don't have a lot of time, so they want it to be easy, ease of use. Anyone can do this. You don't have to be tech savvy. Again, it's free. You can create a free account and you can do searches, about 100 per month. It's incredibly organized because they allow you to download, upload, you can sort, all the functions of really an Excel spreadsheet. Team subscription at no additional cost. Right? So I could purchase this and I allow my chapters to use it for free, or vice versa. Chapters can purchase it and they can allow their other affiliates to use it for free. And I'm going to give you an example of how fast it is and how it saves chapters money. So one of my chapters out of Indiana said, I need a list for this upcoming conference, but we need to get larger electrical contractor members. These are business owners. So she Googled biggest electrical contractor companies in Indiana. She had about 80 that came up, 80 company names. She then split that list up to her board and said, everyone, we're going to use Hunter. You're going to enter the company web address in Hunter, and you're going to bring up that list, and then we're going to combine that list. This generated a 220 person list of emails in 1 hour and 15 minutes. When I did a cost analysis of that list, if we had used our management company, would have cost us $800. So it saved our chapter time, money, and created a great prospect list that they could use for their upcoming conference. And again, here are just some of the different pricing points. Again, free or to enterprise, which allows you to do a lot more using their content management system. So these are just some samples of how I use Hunter at National. Again, prepare bulk domains for large mailing campaigns. It allows you also to verify your email addresses through Hunter. That's a free and included. And if you want your email addresses to be really, really good and really, really legit, Hunter.io will also bring up what source this email address was found at. And so if the source says, oh, it's seen 4 or more places, then you can actually select that email as the one that you want to use on your list. And maybe email addresses that only have one verifiable source, you don't want to use those. If you have a target, of a particular company domain, and you want to guess the email pattern, this is a great way to do it. So let's say you put in, AARP or something like that, but you know that you didn't get the decision maker of the particular person that you're looking for. You can obviously guess what that email pattern is going to be. B. Johnson at AARP. You can get email addresses from a list of first names, last names, and companies. So you can actually type in the name and also find the email addresses, because Hunter.io can grab from over 200,000 emails on the web. Open and reply will also likely be a strong lead, especially with really good copy. The great thing is, if you use the Hunter.io content manager system, it has all the ability to track, which is fantastic, and it's really in-depth. And in terms of training your chapters to use this, helping them save money, there's lots and lots of information online, YouTube videos, and again, I consider this to be pretty low tech, but high in cost savings. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Hi, I'm Jenny Hager, and I'm with HSMAI, which is Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. And Peggy actually got to go on a roadshow with us this past summer and experience Group Map. So how Group Map defines themselves is real-time online. I would also like to add in-person brainstorming and group decision making. So we all went through a mapping process, a journey mapping process this morning, and actually one of the 60 templates that Group Map offers is that journey mapping. So it was fun to see us use it and then be able to talk about a technology to get away from the sticky pad. Now I do have to say, I'm from Minnesota, where 3M is based, and I love me some Post-it notes. So I just want you all to know that my office is full of Post-it notes, so I'm not a sticky note hater. But I also, besides overseeing all of our chapters, I also have the meeting planning side. And so I have to type up all of those journey maps that were done today. So this is an online tool that I'd like to share with you. So when people ask what is group mapping, the easiest way that I can say it is say goodbye to the sticky pad and the easel right here displayed for you, and say hello to Group Map. So I'd like to just dive into the nuts and bolts of what Group Map is. So first thing you do is you create a map, you invite team members, or in the case of case study that I'm going to show you today, we actually had laptops on each table. You capture responses, and then you see the results. So I'm going to take you through the process here. So really simple, you start with a template. There's over 60 templates online that are created for you. Everything from journey mapping to education to planning to the one that we used at HSMAI this summer, which was just a list of questions. Very, very simple, very, very basic. My favorite part in this is we did, instead of one region or one leadership conference this year, we did a road show because we needed to switch the time of year. So we had 3 leadership regional forums that we were copying and creating the same event 3 times. So instead of having to rewrite the list of questions, I was able to clone, and I noticed that's been a trend in a couple of our topics here is cloning. I was able to clone the existing maps in the 3 cities that we were going to. And of course, my favorite part of this is its real-time results. So you click, you export, and it's done. So this is walking you through what we did at HSMAI during our chapter leadership regional forums this past summer. What we did to start was we had a cocktail hour the night before our event. So we juiced them up a little bit and then handed them a laptop. Hey, we're in hospitality. It's the way to go. So we started with some really fun, easy questions just to get them comfortable with the process and the system. So the next day when they entered at 8 a.m., we dived right in to using the software. So this is what we asked them to capture the conversation, pick a recorder at your table. The laptops had the Group Map is online, so groupmap.com. Very, very simple. And then we collect your results. And I'm just going to walk you through, show you a couple screenshots as well. So we did 3 questions in the morning and 3 questions in the afternoon. Now what was unique about this was we wanted to have different table topics for best practice sharing and innovation. So we had education, membership, and communication. And if you see the E, M, and C, this will make sense to you on the next. So what they do is we give them a code. they go to groupmap.com. In that gray box there, you type in the code and you're off to the races. So when you get into the group map, you'll see where it's highlighted in yellow there. So the question is right there, what barrier is getting in your way to success? And then we had education, membership, and communication. So they just typed in an E, an M, or a C, and then typed in, and this is rapid fire, ready, go, 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 go. Here's the best part. So each table is working independently, but up on the main screen, so if we were in a room like this, all the results are popping up live for you. Really exciting. So I forgot to screenshot the entire pricing, but I just wanted to highlight that basic pricing is $20. We learned that we had more than 10 people on the system at once, so we paid $60, but it's a tap in, tap out, which is great. So you can use it for a month, export everything, and close out. So why is GroupMap awesome? It's easy to learn, it's easy to teach others, and it's multiple different ways of how to use it. Low cost, can be used in individually or group settings. So as she said today, this morning, getting the IT department, getting the different departments, if you didn't want to have them be influenced and you wanted their opinions, you could do it independently online, everyone could work and then come together. Results can be sorted, analyzed, and exported right away. And my favorite part is that I don't have to roll up those sticky pads at the end and go type all the notes. I hit export and I can send out the results immediately to everyone who attended. Thank you.
All right, cool beans.
So I'm Beth with Coupa HR. It's a College and University Professional Association for Human Resources. So we work with higher ed HR people. So with our organization, with our chapters, we created a leader toolkit. It's just full of resources, anything from templates, best practice ideas, contacts to help with their volunteer work. But what we were finding, people were still calling me or the office to say, well, where do I find this? Or how do I do that? So we really wanted to lessen the load for me and then to make things easier for our volunteer leaders as well. So we turned to Powtoon. It's so easy and simple to use, and the best thing is that it's free. So with Powtoon, we were able to create some short, simple videos to actually highlight what was in the toolkit. So essentially, they would go there first, pretty much cover all of the questions that I was getting. Where can I find this? How do I do that? So as we were creating that, we decided that we would also do one for the financial aspect, just the Financials 101. And we also did one regarding our chapter bylaws. Those two topics typically generate a lot of questions as well. So with Powtoons, it's, again, so easy to use, and I'm not a tech person either. It took us about 8 hours to do the videos. We wrote our own script. It was very simple. We used the questions that I was getting to basically say, here's what we have and here's where you'll find it. Powtoons has tons of animation and images to use, so we used our own staff to do the voiceover. We did try, because the videos we wanted to be less than 3 minutes long because we didn't want to lose anyone's attention. When we were recording the videos, the one thing that we really tried to do was do it in one take, just so there wasn't a lot of splicing. But again, that option is there if you do need to do that. But doing the video voiceovers in one take made it sound just a little more better, a little less, it was seamless. So we debut this at our association leadership program that we have every summer. We debuted it in July. And as of then, we've had 300 visits to the overall video that explains where everything is in the toolkit. For our Chapter Financials 101 video, it's been viewed 98 times, and the bylaws has been viewed around 73 times. So looking at our chapters, we have 41 chapters. So you're looking at a little over 300 people. So for us, it's been a huge success. It has definitely cut down on the phone calls and the questions that I get. But it's also great for our chapters too. Their boards are using this
with their onboarding processes as well. So when they bring the new board members on in July, they start out with the videos. They introduce the toolkit, but they start off with the videos. So again, it was free and so easy to use. So I highly recommend that. It was just been a great way to get them engaged a little more and make sure that they understand what resources are available. Thanks.
Thanks, Beth. Okay, Samantha and Liesl are going to take us on our next tech journey.
I work for the Association for Talent Development based out of Old Town Alexandria here. And we are both speaking on Canva, which if you haven't used it before, it's awesome. It's a collaborative, free tool to create just amazing graphic design. So if you don't always want to go through your graphics department and you have your branding guidelines, that's what we tend to do. We also, I should say, have our own chapter social media internally. So our national organization runs for our department. We have a Twitter, a Facebook account, a LinkedIn, fun stuff like that. So as I was doing the social media, I found it pretty easy to use Canva when I just wanted to create my own graphics to promote events that were coming up or tools or resources we had for all our chapters. So super easy. The first thing you do is select a template design. They have a ton of different kinds of templates. You can also put in the dimensions you're looking for and it'll select a template size for you. My personal favorite has to be the Facebook cover photo. I find this really nice for long group photos. The other cool thing is they have a bunch of stock images that are free. We've tended to just take a ton of photos at our own event, and so we don't have to technically use those, but we've used these a lot for promotional purposes to get people really excited about events or things we have coming up. The second thing is to customize a photo if you have a photo background or a color background, the text and the layout, and it's super simple. You'll see here you can select all different sorts of fonts. A lot of these graphics will already come with fonts that look really nice, so you don't necessarily have to be super crafty. I'm not the most creative individual, and it really does it for me. You can also edit your photo directly in here, which is really nice, and it'll crop and flip it for you, and it'll edit all the spacing. You can put links, all sorts of stuff. So here's kind of a photo series I took when I was out before our conference, and then a year later I was able to use these as the countdown to our international conference to get our chapter leaders excited and engaged and ready to register for our chapter leader day that was happening there. And then the third thing is you can download your print, you can share your print, and you can also order prints. You could do invitations or business cards on here if you wanted, and then you could order directly through the site. We announced our awards, and so I made this graphic. The cool thing is you'll see the arrow goes up to the download button. I typically use the PDF standard print, but recently we've started using the JPEG if we want to post it and embed it on our website too. And then something I love is that it keeps all your designs. So if I have a program that year over year, I know I'm going to want to use the same graphic for, you could just copy the graphic you already have, change a background, keep the same font, whatever you wanted to do, already set up. Super easy, super nice. So I did we use Sprout Social, if you know what that is. I did a Twitter comparison and a Facebook comparison for you. So this is the first 4 months before I implemented Canva, and this is the only thing that changed in our social media. And then our second 4 months from May to August this year. So our impressions, organic impressions, went up almost 10,000, by 10,000. Our engagements went up and almost over doubled. And same thing with link clicks. So we saw a ton of interest there. For Facebook, we have the same kind of thing. It's not as used for us, but we almost doubled in our impressions. So we're really getting people more eyes on it. And Sprout Social told us that images are getting more views, obviously. So great to know. And then our chapters implemented it on their own level. So you can apply for Canva for nonprofits, which is really great. It takes about a week to get approved as long as you're a 501c3, and the website TechSoup will help you do that. And then most of our ATD chapters have received up to 10 linked accounts, which is really nice. So multiple people on their board or multiple volunteers can utilize it. They also can implement all their own specific branding guidelines that we provide them. Hopefully they're using. And then they can train other people on the tool and how to use it so that they provide brand consistency.
Okay.
So she gave you the how, and I'm going to show you at the chapter level how some of our chapters are using it. I'm Liesl, and I'm with the American School Counselor Association. So as you know, educators are pretty thin on the money space. And when I Googled educators and tech tools, this is literally the image, the first image that came up. And so I thought it was also fitting today, given that we're sharing. Also, supply budgets are challenging in the schools, and so they told us about this tool and have been using it for years. And so when Peggy and the team asked if anyone was using Canva, I had to laugh. So they're using it in the school from the academic side, right? Everyone needs to take the ACT. Everyone needs to get involved at the school level. Everyone wants to see the admissions reps, right? So these are things that they're doing at the school level. But when it comes to the state and the chapter, pretty interesting to see how they're using it to say, hey, join us for elections. Come join us on the board. These are the board members that are elected. These are our award winners this year. Here's an interesting piece on social, just that they used, they printed some of these out, had it at their booth at their conference, which I thought was nice. I really liked this social post, more of an engagement piece and not just a talking at someone with an image. Promoting conference, again, pretty simple stuff. Promoting different apparel, so you can really see the variety of design options that you have through all of these pieces. Pretty interesting in that aspect. A promotional event to celebrate the school counselor. They also do posters that they give away, and I thought this was really fun to see the different ones that they have. So they print these out and actually give them away at their conference. I'm jealous of the unicorn table, by the way. Table 8, I see you. So she mentioned the link and the nonprofit pricing information, and as someone who actually had never used it, I was shared the images from the person that provided these from the state of Ohio, as you clearly understood. I went on and created one of my own. So never used it straight out of the box, and this is what I came up with. It took me about a minute and a half to make this.
A well-spent minute and a half.
Thanks.
So I'm Charlotte Myler. I'm the marketing leader at Bill Highway. And the tool that we use, one of the tools we use, is Envato. If you look around here and see all the imagery and things that have been designed, we only have one designer on staff.
I don't see you in the book.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I'm actually Mark Prevost today, and I'm not talking about Tableau. I'm talking about Envato. I apologize. If you do want to talk to him about Envato or Tableau at some point, maybe track him down if you're interested. He has some interesting points on
Mark,
it.
where are you? Where is he?
Oh, he's behind the pillar. I couldn't
He's
see him.
hiding back there.
He's in the back.
Yeah, there he is in the back. He's got a haircut just like mine.
So many people, well, can I see a show of hands? How many of you have a designer on staff that you have access to on a regular basis? Okay, quite a few. That's good. That's actually more than I expected. So Envato is a leading marketplace. It's a marketplace for creative assets and creative talent, and we use it in a few different ways. They have 6 different offerings, and we've used their Envato Market, Envato Elements, and Envato Studio. So what these tools allow us to do is solve a lot of challenges in our design world. If anyone uses Asana or any other project management tool, if you looked at Pages sitting right up here, it is the most meticulously managed project board I've ever seen in my life, and it is so long, and the number of things that she has on her list are so big. She serves our entire company, and she's one person. Her project load is crazy, so we said we needed to find a way to make things a little bit easier for her so that she can have quicker turnaround, she can handle last-minute requests, and then that way she can put a lot of her focus on a lot of the big things that she focuses on, such as this conference here today. So she went out and she found Envato. And Envato has helped us in so many ways. It has provided templates. So PowerPoint templates are a big thing that they have. It's one of the most important pieces that we use from Envato. It has drag and drop components to it, so it will actually have templates that you can then customize, change colors or what have you. And then have any of your chapters ever inserted imagery into PowerPoints and sent them to you, or presented them at a conference where things are all stretched and skewed and it doesn't really look very pretty? This would allow them to click on where they want the image, and they would be able to upload the image and it'll plug it in, and it will keep your aspect ratios and manage all of that for you. So it's a pretty high-tech PowerPoint template. They have templates for flyers and posters, just like Canva does. So you can plug in that, and you can plug in your designs and colors and logos into those already pre-made templates. They also have website themes and plugins. So if anyone uses WordPress or any of the common crowdsourced website platforms, you can just download a theme, upload it, log in, and just drag and drop and play with the templates and customize everything. They're really good for chapter websites, or if you're looking to roll something out to them, you could create a template and then they can go in and customize it. Another way that we've used this is for video. So if you're looking for an example, we have one in the gallery that was created using Envato, and we actually hired a video animator on Envato, and you don't have to pay for any of the additional assets because it's already in Envato, and you just pay for the labor for them to create it. And they animate the whole thing, and it's a really fast process, and you interact with them directly through the system. You don't have to go outside of it. And they have examples and things that they've already done and portfolios built that you can use to say, I like this, I don't like this, can we do something similar to this? And you just need to provide a script. And I think that is, oh, here are some examples. So we have the WordPress templates over here. You can kind of sift through, see a bunch of them. The PowerPoint templates, they have title slides, imagery slides, agenda slides, timeline slides, project management slides, like everything you could possibly imagine in there. And then the explainer videos, like I mentioned, you can go through, look at templates, see what you like, what you don't like, and find a designer who can execute it for you right through the system.
Cool stuff. All right, Charlotte, thank you. Sarah, you're on.
I'm Sarah Sanders, and I'm the Regional Chapter Manager at Peak Grant Making. And we are an association of grants managers, so people who work in philanthropy and give out money. So it's a happy place, I think. And we use our Higher Logic online community, which we call Connect. And so when I took on the role of Regional Chapter Manager, we really started thinking about how we might use Higher Logic to better support our regional chapters. So just for a little bit of context, we have 14 regional chapters that cover the entire United States, and they are led 100% by volunteer leaders who we call regional chapter officers. And they're really focused on helping grant makers connect and learn together. So in our online community, each chapter has its own community. So there's a community for Delaware Valley, for New York. And the great thing is that our chapter leaders can be administrators in their own communities. So they can lead discussions, they can actually e-blast their members through our Connect online community. So it goes directly to our chapter members' inboxes, which is really cool. And it also lets our chapter leaders give it a more professional look when they're emailing out to the membership about upcoming events or ways to connect. We also have a new community that's just for our chapter leaders. So this is a place where we have all of our resources available for them to download. And of course, it's integrated with our database. So, whenever a new member joins, they're automatically put into their regional chapter, and then they're automatically in that online community. And then for our regional chapter officers, I'll put them in the volunteer leadership committee in our database, and then they're automatically a part of that community as well. So this is what our Connect platform looks like. My coworkers were really particular about not sharing any information, so you don't get to see any of their pretty faces, so sorry about that. But basically, when you log in, this is what you see. You'll see our latest discussions. When an individual goes into their communities, as you can see, you have our open forum, which is all of our members, then the regional chapter officers, for the particular volunteer leaders, and then you'll have your regional chapter community there too that you can go into. And I wanted to show you in particular our community for our volunteer leaders. And so on the left, you can see the discussion posts. So, and I like to encourage, just like we've been talking about, there's a people aspect to it. So, I'll reach out to Deb and say, Deb, you did a great meetup in your region. Could you post about that? And then encouraging our chapter leaders to post about great things that they're doing. So there's a little bit of nudging, but it's helped to get the community started. Because otherwise it would just be me posting things. And then we also have folders in the library there. And so you can click on the particular resource, and the great thing is that it'll create a permanent link that I can share out. So if I get the question, what's the policy, then I can just send out that link and they can download it, and then it makes my life easier, but then it also gets them to go to the community as well. And that's been really great because we didn't have a place for all of this stuff, so it's they go to a one-stop shop for all of their volunteer leadership needs. The other great thing is that we have started using it to recognize our volunteer leaders too. So they get ribbons if they attended our leadership summit, if they attended our conference, or if they're our regional chapter chair or communications chair. So it's a nice way. Everybody loves ribbons at conferences, so it's a nice virtual way to give them a pat on the back and really recognize them for their leadership. We use Higher Logic, and this is just another way that you can use it. There are a bunch of different ways. If you have questions or want more information, you can feel free to contact me, and I'll happily get you in touch with our main e-content and learning manager, who has been really helpful in this process and making the most of a tool we already had.
Cool stuff. Thank you. All right. Okay, I'm really anxious to hear about Abigail has a pet rat. Is that what it is?
Hi, my name is Abigail Salazzo. I'm the Chapters and Leadership Manager with the Association of Nutrition and Food Service Professionals. So I just really want to preface this discussion, or what you're about to hear, that this tech tool I'm going to discuss is not new. Obviously, it's not groundbreaking, but nonetheless has really helped us improve the impact of our face-to-face chapter leadership trainings. But before I explain how we use SurveyMonkey to solve an issue, let me give you a little bit of background information and the basis for implementing this tool. And I have to say, I love how Billing Highway named it lovingly as a readily available technology. But obviously, SurveyMonkey's been around for quite some time. First, the need for implementing this change was to improve the effectiveness and the efficiency of our chapter visits. The original purpose of our visits is to check on the health and the functionality of our chapter, as well as provide some support or guidance to our chapter leaders if needed. Previously, chapter visits were based on a 3-year rotation for our 47 chapters, conducting about 7 visits per year. These were each sponsored by National. Chapter visits consisted of sending a national representative either from our board or our chapter leadership team to meet with chapter board members to discuss their current challenges. They might conduct a SWOT analysis in most cases, and then perhaps provide other training if time allowed. So this was a somewhat unstructured event. There was no agenda, there was no CEUs tied to it. And additionally, the national representative often spoke or presented during the chapter member meeting that was typically held the following day. So this was kind of a 2-for-1 deal. Obviously, having national paid for it, they wanted to take advantage of that, having somebody come out and speak, as well as conduct that training. However, we found that because these visits were not need-based, many of our chapters were really only taking advantage of the national representative as a speaker. They weren't really maximizing their time, their effort, their talents to really improve that chapter. Additionally, there was no follow-up, there were no goals or outcomes. Overall, just no return on investment of the chapter visit. Fast forward to today, we've changed a few things. So now we schedule our chapter visits 2 ways. We use our biannual status report, which is just another mechanism to gauge the health of our chapters. We might find that membership is decreasing, they're having a hard time retaining those volunteers. Additionally, the old-fashioned ways when we get an email or a phone call from a distressed volunteer leader. Get quite a few of those, unfortunately. They're having a hard time with lack of participation from their other board members. Maybe they've been in the role too long, so they're kind of burning out there. Sometimes it's a power struggle, or there's some difficulty with some personalities there on their board. Additionally, the biggest change is that we now do our SWOT analysis using SurveyMonkey. Why, you may ask? Well, for starters, we do allow ample time for each of our chapter leaders, depending on where we're going, to respond. We give them about a month's time so they can, take their time getting their responses in. Maybe they come up with something a little bit later on, they want to go back and add that in there, this gives them plenty of time to do that. Additionally, they can do this anonymously, which ultimately leads to some very candid responses. So that's been huge for us because we find that if we're doing the SWOT analysis face-to-face, the responses are just not the same. So they have that opportunity to respond very, very candidly. Additionally, because we are getting these ahead of time, we're able to customize and specialize that training. So when we're on site, we're really maximizing those time, the efforts, and the talents of our national representative. So this has been huge. And now it's a more structured event. We have an agenda. Also, we've just recently started to tie CEUs to it, which is huge for them. So you're going to see we take a very basic approach. We're plugging in the questions right into SurveyMonkey. We're giving them some tips because this is a self-guided process. And here we get all the results, as you all know, with SurveyMonkey to spit it out very easily to have that information. So now, as a result, we have a much more streamlined chapter visit from start to finish, starting with how we are selecting our chapters, from how we're collecting that data from the SWOT analysis and being able to apply that in a specialized or structured manner for our trainings, ultimately just providing solutions to improve the health and the functionality of our chapters, which really allows them to set achievable and realistic goals with expected outcomes within a certain time frame.
Excellent stuff. Thank you, Abigail. Okay, Corey.
Hey everyone, I'm the adorable person in that headshot right there. My name is Corey Strausman. I'm the Associate Director of Chapter Development for AIGA, which is the American Institute of Graphic Arts. I'm going to be talking about a tool called Slack. So some of you may have heard of Slack. It's kind of revolutionizing the workplace, but we kind of put a unique spin on it as we created an online chapter community through Slack. So you'll see the screenshot's exactly the same, so you kind of get a really good idea of how we use our Slack. We introduced it in 2015, but it came of age in 2016, specifically July 2016 when I came on staff. So we have 1,077 total users. That makes up almost all of our chapter leaders. We have 73 chapters, plus staff, plus national board, plus stakeholders, like committee members, etc. We have 94 public channels. It used to be more, but I did an audit a couple months ago. So these are actually channels that are being actively used or have been actively used in the last 6 months. And we average about 3,000 messages a month. I know that because Slack has a really good admin tool that actually breaks down all the analytics for you. So the purpose. There's a couple of objectives. So we are reducing the burden of email. Show of hands, or feel free to nod along because I know it's going to be unanimous. How many of you have chapter leaders or component leaders or whatever who contact you with one question, subject lines, and nothing in the email? Over and over again about mundane things that you've gone over 700 times. Well, you don't have to receive those anymore because Slack is now a direct portal for your chapter leaders to contact you directly. I'm known as the Slack bot, which is Slack lingo. A lot of people are actually surprised I'm a human being when they meet me in person because I'm really punctual. I answer at odd hours, like 11 o'clock at night. You're able to connect and engage with chapter leaders, not just staff to chapter leaders, but chapter leaders with each other. So now you're creating a national network. You're not just creating silos of chapters around the country. So the chapters in Orange County, California can find out what the chapters in Orlando, Florida are doing, and so on and so forth. So it's really kind of being able to kind of get the buy-in and have these super users of the brand really kind of align to the national interests. It also serves as a clearinghouse of ideas and the ability to elevate thought leaders. So what I generally do on this is I will promote upcoming chapter events in one of the channels, like programming, design for good, diversity and inclusion, women lead. And that is kind of doing two things. It's elevating the chapter as kind of a thought leader. It's basically giving due to the chapters and the leaders that are basically being able to do that. And it's basically kind of almost subtly challenging other chapters because, you know, if a chapter is able to execute something in Dallas that's really easy and easily replicable, the chapter leaders in Toledo could be watching and they could be like, well, we could do this. Why don't we do this? It works for them. Why can't it work for us? Also, for an example, I've noticed that since we started sharing out this practice, other chapters are imitating more events, and it's, you know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So the outcomes, it is a solution, is not the solution. This is not going to solve all of your problems. It's kind of a theme you've heard this morning. But it's a really interesting way to kind of look at your communications process and kind of change things up. I'm not one of those people who likes to do things just for the sake of doing them. I want to kind of try new things and kind of see the ROI on them. So it helped us highlight continued problems with our communications. So kind of see how we can communicate things to people and see if people are actually responding to them. If we're sending out or promoting something and there isn't a response, we're noticing that people are still sending those emails or Slack posts or asking questions, then we could tell that like that's our way to be able to improve the communication process further. And it allows us to be out with the old and in with the new. Slack showed us we could communicate differently, so now I can do things I actually want to do. Without Slack and without having the process to try something different than your kind of run-of-the-mill, email newsletters and stuff like that. I just recently launched we're calling this the Chapter Leader Experience, but it's a Chapter Leader Virtual Engagement Series. So I'm doing like online community meetings and interviews with chapter leaders called Topic Lunch, and webinars with chapter leaders called Lead by Design. And I'm doing that because I proved and demonstrated to the decision makers of my organization that we can think differently and lead differently. So thank you, and here's Peter.
Good stuff. Okay, we're almost there. I know you're getting hungry, but one of the issues that we always find when we're trying to deal with these wonderful apps out there, that you've heard quite a few of them, Wufoo, Zoom, etc., that all do separate things, but they don't do them together. And so there's a wonderful new tool out there called Zapier. It automates routine tasks by tying tech together. It ties text together. It associates, right? We're association people, associates apps with each other. So what's that actually mean? Well, let's take an example. How many people here use Eventbrite? Or how many people's chapters use Eventbrite? Right. So what happens when you use Eventbrite? Well, you collect some information, but it doesn't necessarily help you if you're doing a webinar. Eventbrite does not do webinars. You might use Zoom for your webinars. Well, what Eventbrite will do, what Zap will do, or Zapier will do, if somebody signs up in Eventbrite for a webinar, it can send that Eventbrite registration over to Zoom and automatically register them for the webinar. Right? So they sign up in Eventbrite, and automatically they're signed up for the webinar. So Eventbrite collects the money if you're collecting money, but it collects the information and drops it over here into Zoom. Really cool tool. How many people here use Zoom? Right? Excellent webinar platform, but it doesn't collect money. Right? It'll collect the registration, but no money. So taking Eventbrite and Zoom and putting them together, which Zapier does, allows you to collect the registration and the money at the same time. Another great example, if you use Wufoo, how many people here use Wufoo? I know at least one uses Wufoo, right? So you use the Wufoo form, it collects information. Well, then that information wants to go someplace, right? So where are you going to put it? Well, Wufoo will take that information for you and automatically put it into MailChimp for you, right? So if your chapter has its communications file up on MailChimp, and that's what it's using to send information out. If they have a Wufoo form they're using to allow people to register for an event, well, they can use that form not only to have them register for the event, but automatically take that information and drop it right into MailChimp. So now they can carry that forward into the future when they do more communications with their members, with their prospects, with their customers, with the people who register for events, automatically dropped right into MailChimp. Really cool. Saves lots of time and energy. And of course, then there are about 1,000 different apps that Zapier can connect together. Actually, over 1,000 different apps. I mean, every time I look at this, my head hurts because there are so many apps out there that will do so many things. None of them yet will do my dishes, but hey, it is what it is. So I'm really looking, however, for the ultimate Zap. And what might the ultimate Zap be? Well, it's not free. It does cost some money, right? So you can get it for about $20 a month, and it goes up from there depending on how much you use. But the ultimate Zap is really going to tie something together we all want to see tied together, right? What could that be? It could look something like that, the ultimate Zap. Thank you.